All right, there should be audio now. How did that get turned off? All right. Well, thanks, NV34. Thanks for joining the stream. Twitch, you need a VU meter on the stream so I can figure these things out. All right. Oh, God. I'm going to have to... Anyways, I just caused myself editing in YouTube. Anyways, welcome to the stream. As I was saying before, to myself apparently, our goal for today is to go ahead and get our domain controller structure to look like this. And so we got, right now we only have one domain controller. It has all the FSMO roles. And then we've got two domain controllers here, which aren't really domain controllers. We'll call them domain controllers pro temp here, or domain controllers elect, if you will. They are going to be, we're going to promote them to domain controllers today through the magic of PowerShell here. And I will explain more of what some of these other things here mean here later on in the stream here. We'll get into the fun, exciting world of Active Directory and FSMO roles here. But this is basically going to show you where we're going to move the various FSMO roles here once we get these guys promoted here to domain controllers. So the best way to do that, or well, it's probably not the best way here, but it's one way. If you can, basically, we need a way to dynamically flag these servers. We need a way to dynamically flag these servers that they need some sort of operation performed on them. In this particular case, being promoted to domain controller. Now, I am going to use the method in this case of putting these servers in a specific organizational unit. Because after we're done promoting these to domain controller, they're automatically going to get moved to the domain controller organizational unit. So again, if you're not an Active Directory guru, and I don't blame you if you're not. I can think of many other exciting things to be a guru of. But anyway, so Active Directory, or excuse me, PowerShell has a PowerShell drive for Active Directory here called AD, and they've got drives for different things, like you can go into the various registries as drives. You can go into the WSMan as drives. You can even go into Active Directory. And so so that's what I did here. I basically did set location and then AD:/ for Active Directory. If I wanted to go into HK current users, I would do set location and do HKCU:/ and set local group. That is not what I wanted to do. Set location to HKCU:/ and now I'm in now I'm in the registry. So we'll go back here to into Active Directory. And if we hit, ls or dir, same thing here, you'll get basically how Active Directory here is divided here. So you've got all your schema information is in schema, the DNS information is in domain zones, your forest DNS information is in forest DNS zones, the various configurations that are set in Active Directory or in the configuration things. But 99% of the time, you are going to be in your main domain container here. So if you remember, our Active Directory forest and domain is named ugn.bobbysworld.org. Now, the reason why I added this UGN here is because usually in a corporate sense, if you were, let's say, let's see here, what's the corporation Microsoft always uses? If you were contoso.com and you set your Active Directory domain as contoso.com, and people in that organization started to go to contoso.com to get to the company's website, you're going to run into a little bit of trouble. It's mainly an annoyance. There's workarounds around it. I did this accidentally for a radio station. Radio station I volunteered for. I created their new Active Directory domain under radiostation.fm, and I kept setting the A records in the DNS to point to the actual radio station's website, to their web server, but Active Directory kept changing the A record, or kept adding an A record to point back to the domain controllers. So really, it's a good practice to kind of add some sort of additional level to your domain structure here. If you're using an actual fully qualified domain, and you should be using a fully qualified domain name for the purposes of getting actual certificates and stuff like that, because those of us who are on domains from back before 2008, which I'm sure is most of us, you would do radio station.local, and good luck getting a certificate from GoDaddy or from Hover for a .local domain. It's not possible. But anyways, and so this adds a whole bit, and so this makes things a whole heck of a lot easier. Because so that's why we're that. So unfortunately, the Active Directory, parsing the Active Directory through PowerShell is a little bit of a pain. Because you have to do the whole distinguished name scheme here. So to go into the UGN domain here, we'll go CN for, or no, we want to go, in this case, DC for, it's not domain container. I forget what that stands for. Maybe just domain container. Anyways, UGN. All right, and then if you hit tab for autocomplete here, PowerShell is going to automatically add these slashes, and you have to go back in and delete these slashes, otherwise you'll get an error. It's just a quirk of tab complete in PowerShell in the Active Directory module. And if you hit here again, you've got all of our different containers that are in a normal Active Directory domain here. You've got the system container, the program data container, lost and found for things that are, in all honesty, lost and found. But the biggest things that you are going to do here, or the biggest thing you're going to find here, are your organizational units and your computer containers here. So if we go into the computer container here, so if we go into here, CD, open quote, CN for common name, computers, and then we have to delete our slashes. Here are the 3 computers that have been added to our Active Directory. DC is domain component. Thank you. Yes, I knew it wasn't domain controller, but yeah, domain component, because each one of these is a component of the domain.org is the first part, Bobby's World is the second part, and UGN is the third part. Yes. Anyways, thanks again, NV34. And thank you for being a hardcore viewer. I'll have to, I don't know, get you a t-shirt if I ever get t-shirts or something. Anyways, moving along. So I've got these 3 guys here. Let's start out here by creating a new organizational unit here. So if we back out, you'll notice that we only have one organizational unit, and that is the domain controller organizational unit. And that is where, anytime you promote a domain controller, that's where Windows will put it. As for Active Directory, we'll put all their domain controllers here. But to create a new organizational unit here, now the nice thing about doing this in the Active Directory PowerShell PS drive here is that you do not have to completely type in the fully distinguished name, which makes this a little bit easier here. So we're going to create a new organizational unit here. So surprise, that command here is new OU, or excuse me, new ADOU, or new AD or new AD organizational unit. Ugh. You can also alias these if you want, and if I wind up doing this a lot, we'll do this here, and we're going to give this a name of servers. And if you'll notice, if I hit ls again, we now have an organizational unit here called servers. So I can, and then go here and do OU equals servers, delete the slashes, and we have nothing in this organizational unit here. I'm going to add one more organizational unit here. So we're creating an organizational unit within an organizational unit here. And under servers here, new AD organizational unit. And we are going to name this one, what do I want to name this one? Well, we're only going to be using Hyper-V. We're only going to be using Hyper-V here. So we're going to call this one here. I want to put a space. Yeah, spaces are fine. You want to avoid using colons in strings in PowerShell, because they're a pain in the butt to escape. I've discovered. I had a whole bunch of OUs that was like, you know, company A or no, it was it was it was organized company. I came across organizational units that were you know, organized like this, Acme. You know, and then it was another organizational unit called company, and it was just very difficult to like script in PowerShell because the colon for some reason in PowerShell is difficult to escape, so I just avoid it. It will make your life easier. I know there's a way around it. It's just easier here. So we're gonna call this one Hyper-V hosts, and you can guess what is going to be stored in this organizational unit here. So now we are going to do, we're going to save this so we're going to do a little trick here. I'm going to create a variable here called Hyper-V hosts. And we're going to do get AD organizational unit. And then let's see if this will work here. Oh wait, Hyper-V hosts. Didn't like that. Let's see here. Can I do get organizational unit? Can I do OU equals? Ah, that should work. Ah, it didn't. Cannot find under, oh. Okay, all right. So here, we're gonna do get organizational unit here, comma, OU equals, I don't like it when it doesn't autocomplete. I hate typing out Active Direct, or like, I guess these are technically LDAP, you know, distinguished names. I just find them unbelievably annoying. So whoever created this scheme should be shot. Oh, maybe that's why it didn't work. I forgot to remove the slashes. Oh. All right. comma. I can't be lazy here. OU equals servers, comma, DC equals UGN, DC equals Bobby's World. Oh, I forgot the comma here. There's just so much. This was designed to be done by like a simple like C parser. You know, like a simple C string parser, which is, you know, I get it why it's done like this. DC equals org. Cannot find object with identity. Let's try this. All right, let's back out. Oh, you know what? You know what? Hold on. Let's do. Does PWD work? It puts in a full path. AD colon. Okay, so present working directory isn't going to be a good solution here. I'm just going to back out here and do git. Did I misspell or we're gonna git AD organizational unit. And here, hold on. Let me make sure I'm doing this right here. Where is install ADS domain controller, new AD organizational unit. This is new AD organizational unit. I'm sure if I scroll all the way, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of most of the MSDN things in PowerShell, it'll give you a similar or related PowerShell commands. And so let's see here. Filter string properties. Let's see an example here. Filter name like. Did I not? You know what? Hold on. Did I not filter name like star? Let's see here. Did I? Hold on. How did they do like? Oh, I did have a typo, didn't I? Thank you for catching that. Okay. Now I bet. Oh, I did. See, again, I hate. I just. Yes! And it worked. Thank you, Envy. Imaginary internet points for you today. All right. There we go. All right, so this is our organizational unit here. All right, so we are going to do now here git AD computer. Okay, so we're going to create a variable now here called, I'm just going to call this Orion because there's only going to be one computer that's going to show up on here. And it's going to be Orion, which we know is our Hyper-V host here. And actually, if I do select star, it should show its operating system, but I think that's in additional, that's under additional Active Directory properties. There's a total of 15 of them, it looks like here. And you have to dig a little deeper to get those. But anyways, it should show it should show what operating systems it will be. When we download some download some stuff from system internals, we'll explore some stuff in Active Directory here in a second here. All right, so we've got our Hyper-V OU here. So we're going to do move AD object. Actually, let me man this real quick here because it's been a while since I've done this. There is no help file for move AD object. Thank you, Microsoft. But we're already in. But we're already in the Active Directory, the Active Directory reference here. So I guarantee you, move AD object, LMNOP, new, move AD directory server, move AD object. What do I want to do? I want to do target. What do I want? Move AD object, and then target path here. So okay, identity. All right, here. So that's how we do it here. So we're going to do move AD object. We are moving Orion. And the target path is going to be Hyper-V host dot distinguished name. And then if we go into get AD computer Orion, you'll notice that it is now, it's under its distinguished name, it is now in our organizational unit Hyper-V host here. All right, so that is creating organizational units here and moving objects. So now to do our PowerShell script, we're going to take so we're going to go back to here. Open quote here. DC domain component equals UGN. Going to remove our dashes there, and then we're going to do CU colon OU equals servers. All right, and then we're going to do new AD organizational unit, and its name is going to be okay, I'm just going to name this called make. I'm just going to call this OU make DC here, and then because normally I'd want to create it something a little bit more generic, because how often are you going to be making domain controllers? But I suppose you could always remove the organizational unit after you're done with it. Something a little bit more generic, like PowerShell maintenance or something. For a place where place to store, for lack of a better term, to file servers or other computers that need some sort of maintenance performed on them. But anyways, here. So all right. So we have our new organizational unit here called make DC here, and then again. We're going to get organizational unit, store it in a variable here. And so we're going to do OU equals make DC, comma, OU equals servers, DC equals UGN, DC equals Bobby's World, and DC equals org. Org. Booyah! And then I think if we do get AD computer and do filter star DC star, will that return? No. So we have to do, what is it? It's name like star DC star. Oh, I forgot the end quote. It really doesn't like it when you forget these end quotes sometimes. I've forgotten where the star key is. Oh, I did it again. Star, DC, star, end quote. Hold on. Is that, am I doing like right? All right. I don't think I'm doing that command right. Yeah, let's get back. It was name. Oh, I've dash like. That's what I forgot to do. All right. I knew there was something into the like. It still didn't like that. How about get AD computer star DC star? Will that work? No, cannot find object with identity star DC star. Well, of course not. How about let's try this star. Name like bworld-dc. Syntax error at position 12. Name. Hold on. Is it not? Is it because name isn't capitalized? No. Right? I mean, it's the filter. All right. Oops, wrong. I expanded up the wrong thing. All right, we'll do this the old-fashioned way here. Get AD computer, B world, DCO2, comma, B world, DC, DCO3. Can I convert? Oh, wait, that's right. I forgot to. You're creating an array of strings. Oh, what? Why are you being difficult? So that, you can use pass-through when creating an OU to assign it to avoid a you can use dash pass-through when creating OU to assign it to a variable right away. Can you use dash pass-through? Yes. Usually when you're completing, if a function, you're right, you could have, because, yeah, because, okay, so what NV34 is saying here is when you're creating something in Active Directory, like an organizational unit here, actually hit back one more time here, it will create an output. And in this case here, it is creating, so when we created an organizational unit, he's right, we could have saved a couple steps here. When you create an organizational unit, in this case, in Active Directory, or excuse me, using this command, new organizational unit here, it outputs this particular object here. When you use the flag pass through here. So we could have done here something like, something like computer equals new AD computer, Bob's computer, and use the command pass through at the end. And then after that AD computer is created, it saves it into that variable. That's what NV34 is referring to. And yeah, I could have done that to save myself some time. There is a lot of stuff to the PowerShell here. All right, so I'm just going to do this the easy way here. DC2 is equal to get AD computer bworld DC02. Sometimes it's best just to not fight with these things. DC3. I know there's a way. I know I'm using the filters wrong. bworld DC03. All right, here, and then we're going to move AD object DC02, and our target path is going to be, oh god, what did I name that? It was make DC, right? Dot distinguished name. The identity is null. I disagree that the identity is null. Cannot validate argument on identity null. Provide a value. I didn't have to do this the last time I moved something. So DC02, oops, DC02 dot, is it what? Oh, I did DC. It's going to be one of those streams. Thank you. And there we go. They've been moved here. So if I go back in here into OU equals make DC, and we've got our two domain controllers in there. All right. So now we're going to create our script here. And let's just, I'm going to test. I'm going to test my filter here that I'm going to have to do for this script here, that it's going to work here. Our OU equals make DC operator not supported at position 3. Hold on, maybe I just need to look up get AD computer here for some reason. Even though like I use this command every day, and you know, this is how we figure out what the hell I'm doing wrong. Get AD computer. What am I doing wrong? Or is it because I'm not, or search base? That's, okay, search base, not filter, search base. Okay. Where am I? I have to pop up on the right thing here. So if I do here, we're just going to test this out here real quick. Get AD computer, search base, and we know that all right, so our search, okay, so okay, that pulled them out there. Okay, so we know how we have to create our thing here. And can I don't think I can copy that out right there, but here, I will just minimize that. Filter is based on operators. So you have to do something like computer name dash like something is what you, yeah, what I want is search based. Yes, I think, yeah, I think, thank you, Mr. Magow. Welcome to the stream too. Full-time, another repeat Saturday and weeknight viewer. Thanks for joining. Anyways, here, so I am just going to move this here over to the side here. We're going to briefly, and I'm going to pop open active, or I'm going to pop open, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I'm going to pop open Visual Studio. And so I'm going to create a new variable here called servers to promote OU equals, and we're just going to type in the fully distinguished name here, OU equals make DC, comma, OU equals servers, comma, domain component equals UGN, domain component equals Bobby's World, and DC equals org. I think that's right. Okay, I'm going to minimize this here. I'm sorry. It's late for me. Maybe I shouldn't do a stream, an hour after I come back from the gym. I don't know. I'm thinking of moving this time anyways. All right. So we're doing servers to promote here. So this is our fully qualified domain stream. At least you're laughing with me here, Mr. Magoo. It's all in the good fun because, we're all not, system administrating, Windows administrating, all of us don't know everything, and there's parts of it that we use all the time. I'm Central U.S. time zone, so it's kind of early for me. I mean, yeah, like, to people who've been doing this for like 30 years, I've pointed out, like, no, you want to do it this way. Oh yeah, or I didn't know you could do that. I mean, everyone every day is learning something. That's the reason for me doing this stream, is because I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who'll be able to teach me something. Anyways, what am I doing here? Okay, so we are going to do now here, we're going to go get AD computer. All right, and we want our filter to be star because we want every computer in there. And then our search base is going to be servers to promote OU. All right, so now we have that. All right, and this is going to create us, I need to create a variable first. Servers to promote equals. All right, so now we have, and so this will generate us an array of servers to promote. And then we are going to do the add Windows. I'm going to do the add Windows feature. And what is it? Is it feature? Hold on, dash name. And let's see here. Let me just look up. I got to look this up on the server here. I just need to remember the text string for. Just remember the text string for Active Directory. I believe it's like ADDS. I'm using Visual Studio mainly because, Mr. Murgu brings up a good point. So I'm using Active Directory, or excuse me, Active Directory. I'm using Visual Studio to code in. I've just have been like using it forever, and I'm more comfortable with that. But it's important to note here that PowerShell ISE is pronounced Mr. Magoo, like the TV character. Okay, all right. Anyways, here, so PowerShell ISE here has basically been deprecated by Microsoft, and they pretty much tell you to use Visual Studio Code instead of PowerShell ISE. I am using the PowerShell plugin for Visual Studio. I have to, I use Visual Studio for a lot of things like exploring SQL servers amongst other things. So I've turned it into kind of my go-to thing. But Visual Studio Code works on Linux and Mac and Windows, and is 1,000 times lighter than Visual Studio. Visual Studio is a behemoth. I was thinking about eventually I'm going to install a management computer on this domain, and I'll throw Visual Studio on that one. But I'm not going to install Visual Studio on my domain controller because this is just if you guys are watching this on a programming channel, you guys are aware that the behemoth Visual Studio is, in terms of it's requiring updating, and yeah. But and also for larger scripts, I like using the debug feature in Visual Studio also. What was I looking for? I was looking for that string here. What is it? Active Directory. Yeah. Okay. So this is the name that I'm looking for here. Active Directory Domain Services here. So we'll pop back up into Visual Studio. Wait. Now my brain just for AD domain services. Services. And actually here, I'll even do this here. For each, in parentheses, server in servers to promote, we are going to do that. Server, and we're going to do server.name because computer name here is looking for a string, a computer name string, as opposed to in an Active Directory computer object. So if I just did server, it would confuse the hell out of it. If I did but here, this will just give us the string that we need here. So server.name will give us, it'll basically return us this, here we are, name, it'll return us this name here. And so what a for each does is it basically creates a nice little for loop, a simple for loop here that will go through every item in servers to promote. So if there's 1 or 1,000 in that particular OU that we created here, actually here, what another thing I should do here is if servers to promote, so if there are computers in there, we're going to do that. And I will even indent that one more time. And I'm going to forget closing brackets if I don't do that now here. So basically what this is going to do is if there are no computers in this OU, this variable will be null. So basically that will make this 0, which will default this out to false. Basic computer programming. Okay, so all right, so we're going to add that there. Then after that is done, we are going to run the command. This is going to be run on the domain controller here. So there's a new there is a PowerShell module that is only on domain controllers, and it is on. Let me just return the screen here to something here. So if you do git command -module, it will return everything in a particular. It will return everything in a particular module here. So there is a module called ADS deployment that is only available on domain controllers here. So if you remember from my first stream, we used install ADDS forest to create our brand new forest here. But there is also install ADDS domain controller here, which is what we'll be using. Oh, man. So if I pop up the man page here, ADDS domain controller here, it wants the domain name of which we're adding it to. And anything in brackets is optional. Here, safe mode administrator password. I don't even know why you would want to put that in, unless you're creating. Let's see here. Create DNS delegation. Let's see here. Actually, I cannot run this on a. It doesn't look like it doesn't specify a computer name. So it looks like I have to log into each computer here and do that. I have to log on to the actual computer and do that. This doesn't allow. I'm not seeing here anything here that allows it to do stuff here. Yeah, system key, sysvol path here. These are two things here that we're going to want to set here. So all right, so you know what? Yeah, we can always do invoke command, but given the probably the level of complexity that is involved here, I'm going. And let's see here, we are not going to do that part in the comment. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this here, and I'm going to copy this over here to my domain controller. Open this up. Is it going to be a pain and not let me? I can do Orion. Oh, that's right. I have a file share on Orion here. Oh, now it wants. Oh wait, I don't know. Did it like that? Sometimes this stuff is really slow. Ah, it worked. All right. So let's see here. Let me go into where my my code is saved here. Oh God, my GNS3 project. That was, oh, that's what made me get this home lab, is because I had to do a GNS3 project for an advanced computer security class I took. Oh, here we go. I've been here before. Okay, prep server to, adding domain controllers here. Yep, it's dated today, so this is the one I created here. So, yes, I even created I even downloaded VS Code on the domain controller. Look at that. I'm just going to copy this over to the VS Code folder here, just because I don't like adding things to the root folder. And then we'll pop on over here to the domain controller. And let's see here, adding domain controllers. Let's see here if she likes this. It's collecting data. By God, I think it's doing something. I believe it's working correctly. So while it's doing this installation here, I honestly don't know what's, so anyway, so if you're just joining me on the stream here, this is our goal for today here, is to get our network to look somewhat like this here. DC1 is already a domain controller. We are installing Active Directory domain services on Domain Controller 2 and Domain Controller 3. And then we are going to move our FSMO roles over. Now, a quick explanation about FSMO roles here. Back in the day, when there was just, I believe it was either Server 2000 or Windows NT 4.0. It was basically your first, is the last domain controller that said something won. So you would have instances where, like, things would be getting, like things were getting overridden that shouldn't have been overwritten. Like password changes, like someone, so if I changed my password on one computer and then went over to another computer and changed my password on another computer, depending on which domain controller got to speak last, that was what my new password would be. That's kind of an extreme example. And then after that, Windows created, or I should say Microsoft created, the primary domain controller. And the primary domain controller was king. Everything went to the primary domain controller first, and then the primary domain controller distributed it out to everything else. Then, of course, they came with the problem, well, what if the primary domain controller goes down? So then that's when Microsoft created FSMO roles. And so FSMO roles stands for I know this here. God, I knew I was going to forget as soon as I started saying that sentence. Glossary. All right. Oh. FSMO. There we go. Flexible single master operation. I'm like, I know it's not burst. All right. So this other document here that I have here, this exciting bedtime reading material here. Thank you. Flexible single master operation. God. I knew this too. I know these things. Thank you, Mr. Magoo. Anyways, this master document here is Microsoft's Active Directory technical specification, which if you just Google MS-ADTS, you'll find this is everything and anything you wanted to know about Microsoft Active Directory here. So for example, if you wanted to know more about FSMO roles, you could go in here under section 3, page 109 of this 631 page document. You can find out that says each domain controller accepts originating updates for most attributes of most objects within its writable NC replicas. But certain updates are only accepted if the domain controller is designated the master DC for the update. So in case that didn't put you to sleep here, so basically what that is saying here is we are going to make certain domain controllers here kind of the masters for certain things. Going back to my example here, password changes here. So when I make domain controller 3 here, when I give it the PDC emulator role, which stands for primary domain controller emulator role, all password changes will automatically go through domain controller 3. So if you've ever been on any computer, and you know, maybe even if it's in a big infrastructure place, you type your name, you type in your password wrong, and like it takes like an extra minute or two for the computer to say, oh, you typed in your password wrong, idiot. Which, given, by the way, I type on the stream, one can assume that I type things incorrectly a lot. Passwords. Not as much as you'd think. Anyways, so what happened here is basically you typed in your credential, and it went to like domain controller 2 first here. Domain controller 2 said, oh, you typed in your password incorrect. But I want to make sure that you didn't change your password, so I'm going to ask domain controller 3 if your password changed. And then domain controller 3 reports back to domain controller 2, which then reports back to the computer that you tried logging into saying, no, idiot, you typed in your password incorrectly. So that's kind of what happens here. And so let's go back to our domain controller here, and look at this. Success on all 2 accounts. We ran a script, didn't have a single bug in it, and given that it was a very simple bug over stuff that we've kind of done before in other streams here, but we ran a single bug here, or ran a single bug. We ran a script here on 2 computers at once, and everything like that here. So let's try doing this here. Let's enter PS session here for bworld DC02. And this is going to automatically, so what this does here, entering a PS session here, this is how I pretend to do so many things on my end users' computers without them knowing about it. Like they're like, hey, can you install Chrome, for example? And I'll be like, okay, all right. They're like, do you need me to get off your computer? I'm like, no, it's already installed. It impresses them a little bit. The little bit I can do to impress my end users, I'll do. Anyways, it doesn't. Anyways, most of the stuff I do on a daily basis, they don't even know and think I sit around and don't do much at all. Anyways, here, so I'm on domain controller number 2 here. And I should have the command, not install, what is it? Move active, or no, wait, that's not what we want to do. We want to, no, that's the command we're going to do next. Move active directory server master operations role. Install ADDS domain controller here. So I should have, all right, we do have the command ADDS install domain controller here, and its domain name is going to be ugn.bobbysworld.org. And so now I know, I think it was actually NV34 who asked me last stream, when should you use your fully qualified domain name or your NetBIOS name when kind of doing these things? What's the preferred? What's kind of best practice? And I was pretty certain that fully qualified domain name was best practice, and it is. We're going to get into securing our domain controllers and everything, and locking them down. And And one of those lockdown processes is going to be kind of turning off as much of NetBIOS as we can. Because I ran, if I'll do this probably next stream. We're going to run Wireshark on a domain controller. And, if I run Wireshark on my home network or on your network, it is polluted with, depending on what you have, MDNS, NetBIOS stuff, LLVMN broadcasts and stuff like that. And it is all these things that are trying to do better than DNS. They're trying to improve on DNS, like Apple's Bonjour does that. And like on my computer network, it's just, I have to have Bonjour running because I've got people who use iPads for a lot of work. I have people whose primary computing device is an iPad. That's primarily what they use. So I have to have air printers and stuff like that. And so, it's, getting Bonjour to communicate across VLANs and everything. Anyways, moving along here. So we're going to select here. We have the only thing required is the domain name UGN Bobby's World here. Oh, actually, one other thing I want to check here. I want Git Drive. Git Drive is not recognized here? Or is it Git Disk? Git Disk is what I wanted. There we go here. So that is offline. New volume, disk. This is fudge. I wanted to put our sysvol and everything on the data drive, and it says that the operational status is offline. And can pool true usage auto select here. Git partition disk 1. Oh God, I'm forgetting the dash. Wow. And this says here, no Microsoft partition I found with disk number equal to 1 here. Yeah, I want. Let's see if I can do this. I don't think I. No, I knew that was going to pop up a bunch of stuff. There is initialize. Is it initialize disk? Yeah. Nope. No, I just want initialize disk. Number 1. There we go. New partition. Disk ID 1. Oh, that wants the disk UUID. Disk number 1. You'll specify the size. I have to use maximum size. There we go. So I want format. Ah! Oh no, is it a new volume? Disk number 1. Friendly name. Sysvol. Oh, hold on. New volume. Okay, new volume. This has already been initialized. Extended information. Has this be either raw or GPT? I'm sorry. All right. All right. I'm sorry. I can't. This is. I'm going to cheat because I don't want to have to look this up, and I told myself that I was going to do better at this here, but I'm going to cheat here. Run as administrator. And if you've got a core, if you've got a server core install, and you really, you can always use the MMC snap-ins on a computer with an actual, GUI. Hold on, could not start virtual disk server. This can yeah, okay, all right. Did it not? I was not expecting it to say that. The device manager. Unable to connect to virtual disk service. All right, I'm going to get, in a minute here, format list, format secure boot UEFI, format hex, format volume. Oh, we want format volume? All right, I can do this quickly here. New volume disk. I want what do I want? Set partition. Yeah, this really isn't initiative. You have to call get volume on the partition object, and you can call format volume on that volume. The volume wasn't listed under get volume here. Set partition, partition number, new drive letter here. I think when I set partition, partition number 2. I did it too quickly here. Let's see here. I want new drive letter E. Drive letter CIM says in here. Throttle limit. Do I have to set the? I have to set the type. Is shadow copy? No. MBR type. GPT type. I just want it as GPT. Is shadow copy is hidden? I don't even know what the GPT type is here. Oh, and we want disk number 1, partition number 2 here. All right, so get volume, drive letter E, And then we'll pipe that into, we'll do what NV34 suggested here. Volume, file system, NTFS. Hey, and it worked. Okay. All right. That didn't take too badly there. All right. All right. This is my brain is hardwired to do things in a certain way, and like it's very painful if I can't do it in like the way that I want to do it in. But anyways, here, so we're gonna do new, or no, we're gonna do install AD domain controller, or is it ADDS? It's ADDS domain controller. Domain name is ugn.bobbysworld.org. And then some of the optional settings here that I wanted to select. Here, if we pop open, install ADDS domain controller here. We're going to set the database path. I hope I don't need no, installation media path is optional here. I'm going to set the log path, the database path, and the sysvol path here. Those are the three things that we're going to set here. And in fact here, we're going to go here into E colon backslash. Yes, it does exist. Why do you lie to me? We just created it. Yes, CD. Okay, maybe I just had to refresh it. Hold on, what is it? Oh, how do I set PS drive? How do I manually change my PS drive? Hold on. What is it? Set location? I don't think that's what I wanted, but thank you. Oh, God. You are absolutely right. Thank you, NV34. You just told me I was on the wrong PowerShell screen. We're just going to close you. There we go. Okay, all right. Back to center. All right. We're going to get this done today. We are. All right. There it is. Okay. So we're going to make a DR for, we'll call it AD logs. Make dr AD DB. And then make directory. What was the third one? AD. What was the other one I wanted to select here? That's not what I wanted. I'll close U2 here. Sysvol. Actually, it'll create its own sysvol directory. Last time. I know there's... I know I'm going to wind up with two sysvol directories, but oh well. just in case it doesn't create a sysvol directory. Okay. Install adds domain controller. Domain name ugn.bobbysworld.org. Sysvol path is going to be e://sysvol. Log path is going to be e://ad logs. And then database path is going to be e://. So while I'm typing this, I'm assuming this will take a little bit of time to install. So let me know if anyone has any questions about anything that I've done, any insanity. Have I done something completely wrong? DB here. All right. Warning is sending a prompt request. When enter a prompt percentage of information, it wants the safe mode administrator password. No, wait. Ah. The target server will be configured as a domain controller and restarted. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. Verifying of user credential permission failed. Failed to examine. Error directory was LDAP search error 1. Error may be the result of insufficient credentials for a remote operation. Consider setting explicit credentials for this operation. I see. Huh. I was going to say here, message, verification of credential permission failed. Failed to examine the Active Directory for us. The error was LDAP search failed error 1. So, I'm guessing, like I said before, sometimes, well, this is in the Active Directory, and I am like the domain admin. Do I have to be schema admin? No, the administrator should be everything right off the bat, right? Get AD group member. Name. Get AD group member. Error does not have Active Directory web services running. Hold on. Exit. Can't find. Or is it enterprise? Oh wait, I think there's a space between enterprise admins. Yeah, I'm an enterprise admin. I'm an enterprise admin. Schema admin, just in case. It shouldn't be editing the schema, but yeah, no, I'm a schema admin. And just to CYA, I am a domain admin. So, all right. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Where's my Hyper-V console? There it is. I'm just going to have to log directly in here. Now I want to select a user, that person. All right, so we're just going to install ds domain ad. Oh, I'm not in PowerShell, that's why. PowerShell, install domain controller. Domain name, ugn.bobbysworld.org. Log path is /ad logs. Database path is e coli /addb. And then the sysvol path is /sysvol. If this doesn't work, there we go. Algorithms compatible with Windows NT 4.0 prevent weaker cryptanalysis for information, blah, blah, blah. Oh, oh, wow. I still got this. I think what that's telling me is NTLM version 1.0 is installed. I would imagine that's what that means. And that is my phone telling me it's my bedtime. Let's see here. Warning, this computer has at least one physical network card that does not have a static IP address because it has 2 network cards. And it doesn't even have one installed on it here, but we're going through here. And we're installing here. So are there any questions here while this is installing? Anyone out there? Like I said, I figured this would take a while to do here. But this will take a minute here or two. But yeah, so again, regular viewers to the stream, if there's another time that you like better, what is this? The folder ADB is not valid. Specify a valid path, including drive letter. Example. It didn't mind the log path, because it's not like in this, because in its example, it didn't have those installed. So, is it just being pedantic? Ugh. I don't think I'd be able to type this password in so many times. Ah. Typically, for most things that so NV34 there's a best practice, and we're going to put sysvol database logs and stuff like that. Again, your environment may be different. larger environments, I would imagine that they have them all even on separate drives. So typically here, while this is installing, I'll pop up my little diagram here. So typically here, the way some people like to have their domain set up here is they like to have one of these domain controllers like an actual bare metal machine, because that way, in our case, we're using, so like for example, if Orion here is on the domain that is controlled by the virtual machines that are inside of it. So if I wanted to log into Orion while these guys are shut down, or there's something wrong with them, I'm going to have an awful time doing that. And then the same way with just about any kind of data on any kind of server here. So typically people will put them on a different, they'll definitely separate their operating system hard drive from their data hard drives. So that way they can be moved or backed up, or you can change your backup settings or whatnot with them. For example, I know with Exchange servers, people will put their Exchange, if you create two Exchange databases, they'll put their Exchange databases on separate drives, even if they're separate virtual machine drives here. So the more you can spread it out and you have the resources to spread it out, the better. So for example, sysvol is going to get replicated to every single domain controller. Anything that's on the sysvol folder is going to be replicated to every single domain controller in your domain. So don't store ISOs in there, which is what someone I knew actually had a junior person do. They put that would be a great place to store like their operating system ISOs in there. And that wasn't fun when Active Directory tried replicating them to all the different domain controllers, throughout the large company that the guy worked for. Anyways, so for example, if we were a larger organization here, I might want to put my sysvol on even like a separate data store. If we were running a VM thing, or a separate LUN number, if we were on again, using Hyper-V, if we were on a separate system. And then, you'd want to, maybe, all these domain controllers would be all on the same cluster, but they would all be running, divide and conquer. The more things you're on, the better. So like if I were I think I looked at the prerequisites initially that Microsoft had set up for doing a domain, for like how many resources a domain controller. I think they wanted like a gig of RAM for 1,000 computers. So if you had 1,000 computers and end users, maybe. So like if you had like 1,000 end users and stuff, I would put your sysvol on a separate drive, your Active Directory database on a separate drive, and maybe even on and maybe even on something that like if you had like faster hardware that's more designed for databases, and the same hardware that you might have some of your Exchange databases, or what else is in that database file format? I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but yeah, so yeah, like I want to say like Microsoft best practice would be at the very least to have it all on a second data drive like we did, but again, your results may vary. And wow, this locked quickly. All right, I'm going to say that oh, it restarted. That's why I had to relog in here. So git AD domain controller, or is it just, oh, it's ADDS. Oh, that's right. I got to go into PowerShell again. AD S domain. Get ADDS. Is it because I don't have... Is it because it wasn't loaded? Get AD domain controller here. And so we should have 2 domain controllers now. So, okay, so real quick, let's pop on over here to bworld 1 where y'all can see stuff here. I want to put in my passwords that I use for work. That's the problem. And like my brain is like, no. All right. So again, even if I run get AD domain controller on here, this will even show that we should have or not. DCO1. Oh, no, wait. Why is it not saying? Is it really not taking? Is it really taking that long to replicate? The other one said there were 2 domain controllers. Anyways, I'm going to assume here, this is a command that, well, the last one I've never ran before either. But again, this is stuff that you don't do all that often here. You very rarely are moving FSMO roles. You know, maybe once every couple of years if you're like, decommissioning a Windows 2003 server here. So here, let's minimize you here. So, and pop you up here. So we are going to, whoops, that is the wrong one here. I wanted to try to split both screens, but I don't think that's going to work out here. So, all right here. So we are going to move Active Directory Operational Services Master Role. So if we take, so DC2 is going to be our infrastructure master and our domain naming master here. So basically, the infrastructure master isn't going to be, isn't going to be doing much unless we add another domain here. That's where it kind of keeps track of other external objects from other domains and keeps track of them and talks to the, and so basically you want this separate from your global catalog server because the global catalog server overrides the domain, or excuse me, the infrastructure master. The global catalog contains every single object in the entire forest. So if you are in a, if you're in a forest with like 5 different domains, the global catalog will have a copy of everything in it. Whereas only your domain controllers for that domain will have a copy of that domain's database here. So the infrastructure master, never gets updated when it's the domain control, when it is on a global catalog. So you want to keep those on a separate service. The domain naming master is a forest-wide only FSMO role here. So there's only one per forest here. So, and that just makes sure that there are unique names throughout the forest, that there are no, I can't, it basically makes sure I cannot create another ugn.bobby'sworld.org. So that is your basic things here. So again, where is this? Nope, I don't want that one. Where did I install Windows feature? Oh, move. Oh, here we are. Move Active Directory, Operation Master Services role here. Blah, 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 blah. All right, here. So basically, we need to just basically specify here the domain controller and the and the FSMO role that we want to give it here. So we're going to here go move. This is like the longest PowerShell command. AD directory server operations master role. Now, we are transferring FSMO roles here. And so the identity here is going to be bworld-dc02. And the operational master role we're going to give it is, we said, infrastructure master, and it is going to be the domain naming master. Now, the difference between seizing a FSMO role and transferring a FSMO role is if the server with the existing FSMO role is up, we're going to it's basically considered a transfer. It talks to that server and says, hey, you're no longer the domain naming master. It's now going to be domain controller 2. However, if that server is down, then you're going to do what's called seizing a FSMO role. And in PowerShell, the difference between between transferring and seizing is the word force. But DC01 is up, so we can tell it nicely that it's been fired from these 2 roles. And let's see if this works here. Do you want to move the role of infrastructure master to that server? Yes. Do you want to move the domain naming master? And just like that, we've changed it there. So, so let's see here. If we go get, let's see here. Oh, I think it's only returning itself here. Oops, AD, not ACL, AD domain. AD domain controller bworld DC02. And then right there, operations master roles, domain naming master, and infrastructure master. All right. So that's it for the stream. Let's see if there are any last minute questions, concerns, comments, and I don't see any. So again, if you've been watching, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, yeah, it was probably filter star. Yeah. No, yep. So if I do get AD domain controller, it's very similar to, yeah, there we go. That should have returned both of them. That returned both of them here. So again, this guy is still the schema master. Now this actually here, it doesn't by default make a global catalog, right? I don't believe it does. where's the, is global catalog true? And on DCO2 is global oh, true. Oh, wow, this was, okay, so it makes it a global catalog by true. Well, because I'm on the domain controller, I guess, yeah, by default it returns whatever domain controller it is. Is global catalog true? I didn't want to make that a global catalog because it is the domain naming master. Not the end of the world because there's only one domain on here. But let's see. Let's see if we can figure that out real quick here. Man, set AD domain controller. Apparently that's not a command. Get commands domain controller module Active Directory get apparently I can't set or change a domain controller. I'll have to look up how to do that, and I'll save that for next stream. All right. Okay, so that'll be it for the stream. Yeah, so next stream, I'll already have DC03 configured. We'll move its FSMO roles over, and then call it a night for the domain controllers. They'll be set up pretty much in a way that that we want them to. And we'll go through, and next episode we'll explore some of the domain controllers. We'll explore the actual domain, see some of the things in there. You know, we'll add some users. You know, we'll partially use Microsoft's best practices for administrators, because right now I'm the domain admin, and you're not supposed to operate as a domain admin. Basically, security, you're supposed to, you should disable it. That's what we'll do, because, you know, this is a test lab, so if we break something by disabling the domain admin, nothing will happen here. Also, or that's not what I wanted. What is it? Is it get site? Anyways. I also changed the name of the first site. I just named it Chicago, I think. Does it list what site it's in here? Anyways, so yeah, all right, that's it for the stream. Yeah, I changed the name of the site to Chicago, just because I hate what it. I hate like default. First, you know, those are one of those things that if you change at the very beginning when you first create it, because, like, you know, if you change the name of your first site after it's been running for years, things break and everything. And then, you know, we'll explore like sysvol and everything, and we'll have lots of fun playing with Active Directory for the time being, and then we'll get into more stuff. If there's something extra that you want to see me after I do all these domain controllers, you want to see me tack on, let me know. But yeah, thanks for watching the stream. I am really signing off now, I swear. All right, bye-bye. Where'd you go?